Good day, everyone. I am your discussant, Mr. Lordson Cusano of Kauswagan National High School, and I'll be sharing today about the 7 types of curriculum and 4 stages of curriculum process. Now, first, let's have the 7 types of curriculum operating in schools. Now, what are these curriculum? First, we have recommended curriculum. It comes from a national agency like the DepEd, Department of Education, CHED, Commission on Higher Education, DOST, Department of Science Technology, or any professional organization that has a stake in education. So for example, in the Philippines, the curriculum being implemented by the Department of Education or the Commission on Higher Education, CHED, is an example of a recommended curriculum. In some cases, a law-making body like Congress and the Senate or a university or a school can recommend a subject, a course, or any academic program deemed necessary for national identity and security, for environmental protection and sustainable development, among others. So examples, we have CHED Memorandum Order number 30 series of 2004. Subject, it is about revised policies and standards for undergraduate education curriculum. Now, we also have a written curriculum. This includes documents, course of study, or syllabi handled down to the schools, districts, division, departments, or colleges for implementation. The written curriculum refers to a lesson plan or a syllabus written by teachers. Another example is the one written by curriculum experts with the help of the subject teachers. So we also have course outline. This kind of written curriculum needs to be pilot tested or tried out in sample schools to determine its effectiveness. So we also have here lesson plan schedule and other documents for teachers. Now, third one, we also have taught curriculum. Different planned activities which are put into action in the classroom. Varied activities that are implemented in order to arrive at the objectives or purposes of the written curriculum. Used by the learners with the guidance of the teachers. So it varies according to the learning styles of the students and the teaching styles of the learners or the teachers himself. Now, this is about the implementation of written curriculum. Whatever is being taught or an activity being done in the classroom is a taught curriculum. So, when teachers give a lecture, initiate group, or ask students laboratory experiment with their guidance, the taught curriculum is demonstrated. This curriculum contains different teaching styles and learning styles to address the students' needs and interests. So we also have here the taught curriculum. So whatever strategies, techniques taught in the classroom is a taught curriculum. So we have here the strategies to meet the needs of the learners. So we have supported curriculum. Materials which support or help in the implementation of the written curriculum should enable each learner to achieve real and lifelong learning. So supported curriculum is about the implementation of the written curriculum or taught curriculum. So these supported curriculum includes the instructional materials. We also have the technology that we have that enhances learning. It's about supported curriculum. Now, we also have assessed curriculum. So after being taught and supported, we also have assessed curriculum. It is tested or evaluated curriculum. A series of evaluations done by the teacher to determine the extent of teaching or to tell if the students are progressing. So, assessed curriculum, taking an exam is part of assessed curriculum. The paper and pen test. When students take a quiz or midterm and final exams, then evaluation are the so-called assessed curriculum. Teachers may use the pencil and paper tests and authentic assessments like portfolio and performance-based assessments to know if the students are progressing or not. So we also have here the rubrics, the checklists, and everything that we do as assessment. So, learned curriculum. Learning outcomes achieved by students. It is indicated by the results of the tests and changes in behavior which can either be cognitive, affective, or psychomotor. This type of curriculum indicates what the students have learned. The capability that students should demonstrate at the end of the lesson can be measured through learning outcomes. A learning outcome can be manifested by what students can perform or do either in their cognitive, affective, or psychomotor domains. The test results can determine the learning outcome, and the students can achieve it through learning objectives. Now, these are some examples of learned curriculum. So, what we have learned, and students who obtained 0% in exam, and everything that we have learned. Now, lastly, we also have hidden curriculum. And what are these, or what is this hidden curriculum? It is an intended curriculum which is not deliberately planned but may modify behavior or influence learning outcomes. So, hidden curriculum refers to the unplanned or unintended curriculum but plays a vital role in learning. It consists of norms, values, and procedures. So, we are now done with the 7 types of curriculum. Now, let's move forward to So, according to the generalization, assuming that you are a college student taking a bachelor secondary education major in mathematics, your course or degree program is a recommended curriculum because, of course, it is prescribed by the CHED. The syllabi given to you by the teachers are the written curriculum. When teachers start to teach, that is a taught curriculum. And when they ask you to use the internet and search for the information about a given topic, this is a supported curriculum. Now, furthermore, teachers need to evaluate your performance. So, when you are given a test or exam, that is the assessed curriculum. The assessed curriculum results will determine what you have learned, and that is the so-called learned curriculum. However, the hidden curriculum can affect what will be taught and assessed by your teachers, and eventually affect what will you learn. Now, let's move forward to the 4 stages of curriculum. So what we have here is planning, content and method, implementation, and lastly, evaluation. So let's talk about these processes. So essential considerations for curriculum development. Number 1, issue or problem need is identified. Characteristics and needs of learners. So who are your target? Changes intended for learners. Intended outcomes or objectives and what the learners will be able to do. Number 4, the important and relevant content, the what. And number 5, the how, the methods to accomplish intended outcomes. And lastly, the evaluation stages or strategies for methods, content, and intended outcomes. So what worked well? Now, phase 1, planning. So in phase 1, we have here identify issue or need. The need of curriculum development usually emerges from a concern about a major issue or problem of one or more target audience. Next, we have form curriculum development team. So we need to create, once the nature and scope of the issue has been broadly defined, the members of the curriculum development team can be selected. Topics covered in this section include, number 1, what we have here is the roles and functions of team members. Number 2, a process for selecting members of the curriculum development team. And number 3, principles of collaboration and teamwork. Next, the conduct of needs assessment and analysis. Now, there are 2 phases in the needs assessment process. The first procedure is conducting a needs assessment. A number of techniques are aimed toward learning what is needed and by whom relative to the identified issue. Techniques covered in this section include knowledge, attitude, and practice survey, focus groups, and environmental issues. Now, let's move on to the analysis. Analysis, the second part of this needs assessment step, prescribes techniques on how to use the data and the results of the information gathered. Now, we also have here phase 2, the content and methods. For the content and methods, we also have here number 4, state intended outcomes. Once the issue is defined, curriculum team is formed, the needs assessed, analyzed, and prioritized. The next step is to refine and restate the issue if needed and develop the intended outcomes or educational objectives. An intended outcome states what the learner will be able to do as a result of participating in the curriculum activities. Number 5, select content. Now, in selecting content, it is a must that it will make a real difference in the lives of the learner and ultimately society as a whole. At this point, the primary questions are: if the intended outcome is to be attained, what will be the learner need to know? What knowledge, skills, attitudes, and behaviors will need to be included and practiced? Now, last, design experimental methods. After the content is selected, the next step is to design activities, learning experiences to help the learner achieve appropriate intended outcomes. An experiential learning model is to be on its components. Experience, share, process, generalize, and apply are discussed in this section. Now, phase 3, implementation. So, what we have here is to produce a curriculum product. So, once the content is experiential method have been agreed upon, the actual production of curriculum materials begins. This section includes number 1, suggestions of finding and evaluating existing materials, and number 2, evaluation criteria, and number 3, suggestions for producing curriculum materials. Now, test and revise curriculum. This step includes suggestions to select test sites and conduct formative evaluation of curriculum materials during the product phase. A sample evaluation form is provided. Now, what we have here, recruit and train facilitators. It is a waste of resources to develop curriculum materials if inadequate training is not provided for facilitators to implement it. Suggestions for recruiting appropriate facilitators are provided with a sample 3-day training program. Now, implement curriculum. Effective implementation of newly developed curriculum products is unlikely to occur without planning. Strategies to promote and use the curriculum are discussed in this step. And lastly, the fourth one is the evaluation and reporting. Design evaluation strategies and reporting and securing resources. Now, evaluation is a phase of the curriculum development model as well as a specific step. The 2 types of evaluation is the formative and summative are used during this curriculum development process. And for reporting and securing resources, the final element of an evaluation strategy is delivering the payoff. An example, getting the results into the hands of people who can use them. So in this step, suggestions for what and how to report the key stakeholders, especially funding and policy decision makers, are provided a brief discussion on how to secure resources for additional programming. Now, these are my references. Thank you so much for listening. God bless.